Excellent. All right. And we'll go here and I will share my screen. We will continue our discussion of the basically showing some of the features of the what's it called? Approval tests tool.
Great, great.
So I will show you basically first off, there's a concept called the natural sort. You'll see that I've got this this list of files here that that is sorted pretty much as we expect. You go 1 through 10, and then 11 through 20, and then 100 through 100, that sort of thing. And they're all in the order that we expect them to. But if you bring up this list in PowerShell, it's not what you expect. It's in alphabetical sort order. And even, if you look in Bash, it's in that funky order, which can be really frustrating. So we call this the natural sort order. Okay. So what I've done is I've put together a very contrived project that has all of our file names in this awful order. There's a library I found online, Alpha Num Comparator, and it goes through and it sorts things in a natural sort order. And so what I've done is, I'll have I'm going to use our approval tests. I've got everything in the wrong order, and I will just say approvals.verify all with all of these, and I'll show you what that ends up looking like. Since I don't have my my approved file, basically I've got this, and it's not in the right order. But what I could do is I can take this and put it in the order that I expect it to be. So like the hundreds will go after the 20s. Actually, 10 should go here. 4. Right, 10, 11, 1. Where's 2? There we go. I can just edit it here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's the order I expect, right? Z 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 19, 20, 10. Oop, 10. That can go away. So that's the order that I would expect it to be. So I can use that as my approved and save that. And then when I run my test again, because it's that text file that we're looking at, right? Then I can see that what I got is one. Oh, sorry, got to go into my program.
He
got to turn on my.
Okay, sorting.
I have to use.
I was afraid that the string, the position at the array would cause the code to
break the so that's test. What we'll see. So I can go ahead and close that, and we'll run it again. And just as you expected, the everything that is ordered correctly. However, this the array, okay. Right. So all I need to do is just copy over what I expect and save it.
Yes, because the order of the files were right.
Right. So you'll notice that what I did here is in the previous thing, previous time we ran approval tests, I just did a verify. here I do a verify all of this
Okay.
array. And so that's why when I run it, it goes and creates that, it creates the array index so that it just makes it easier to read. So that's pretty handy. And the verify all will just go and print it all out in an array in a text file, and that makes it easy to edit like that. So that's pretty cool.
And the sorting library was a external library that you add to the code that does this
Yeah,
sort
it's.
or compare the
Let
numbers.
me see. Do I have the? Thought I had the website that I got it from in here, but
No,
I
it's fine.
don't.
For curiosity. That he does the sorting. You have two libraries, the sorting or the sorting was from Java.
No, this does the sorting. The original
Okay.
sort was just, I just had it in the order that it was in
Okay,
there,
okay. You
and then
just
I
put
just pass it into this national whatever it uses the. Sorry here. Pass it into the alphanum comparator,
yes, okay.
and I use this algorithm, and
Oh,
it, you know, whatever. So stream sort avenue collectors joint whatever. So how does this get called? Right here, compare. So it uses the
compare.
compare
Yes,
method.
yes. Takes two strings, mark the position. Oh, and sort the only not only numbers but alphanumeric. So he starts by sorting the alphas, for example. Oh,
Right.
awesome.
Yeah. So it's. I mean, it's a whatever. It's a fairly contrived example, but I wanted to show that how the approval test handles arrays and how it will you can go and edit the expected output so
Yes.
that you can predict what it should look like. So that's kind of handy. Um, with that said, I will. There is this project, and basically JB Rainsberger has put together this project for. I don't know if you know about the National Day of Code Retreat. Um, have you heard of this?
No, no, no.
Well, it's in November. I'll mention it again later, but it's in November, and basically it's a time when it's one day where people get together all over the world and work through some problem and develop some good habits for working on code, learn new approaches.
Okay.
So JB Rainsberger put together what he called the National Day of Legacy Code Retreat, where he has this sample code that people work through to try and solve the problems, and it's in a whole bunch of different languages. And so I just grabbed the Java version, and you can see this is what it looks like. It's not necessarily easy to read, but it plays a game.
Yes.
A game runner, then it has a test. So if you run the test, you see that, yeah, true is true, assert true, false. So the test is useless. The game runner, if you look at it, it basically creates three players.
Okay.
It's a random value, and then it goes and runs the game until there's a winner. So we can run the game runner, and this is sort of the output.
Whoa.
So if we look at this in the game, you see that we have all this system.out print line, and it's highlighted in IntelliJ because it doesn't like you to use system.out. And so basically, whenever it does something, it prints it out, which is kind of handy because if we're going to use approval tests, we want to have a text file so that system.out will give us something useful.
Okay.
So let's see here. I've got written down the order that I want to do this. So there is a book that I found here. Where did I put it? Here it is. I don't know if you've seen this before. It's called Working Effectively with Legacy Code.
No. Interesting.
It's by Michael Feathers, and I very much recommend it. You can see that I have all kinds of bookmarks where I refer to it regularly. In the book, he talks about the concept of characterization tests, where basically you have this code that is hard to understand, and what you need to do is effectively have tests put in place that will cover it, so that you can go in later and refactor it.
Yes.
So basically, you lock it down with tests, then you can refactor it and know that it passes. And this is really the strength of approval tests, is it helps you to very quickly and easily lock down your tests.
Yes, you have an output and you try to maintain this output so you know the code is still working the same as was before.
Correct.
Oh, fine.
Okay, so so the first thing I'm going to want to do is I want to create a test that's useful. True is useless. So let's change this to test existing behavior. And what it will do is it will call game runner, right?
Okay.
Game runner dot main. Okay.
Okay.
And yeah, because game runner main at this
Yeah.
point, when we run it, yeah, we pass it nothing, right? So if I go ahead and I run this, then it
Because
goes
you
and
okay,
cranks out this text like it did before. All right.
right.
So it passes. All right. Now, what we want to do is capture this output. All right. So what we'll do is we're going to make a change to the code that 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 we're confident doesn't break it. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a function down here at the bottom, and we'll call it void. Yeah, print line text. We'll say system out print line text. Okay.
Okay.
So basically, what I'm going to now do is find every place that says system. Well, here I'm using the Vim tooling. So
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
if you're familiar with regular expressions in Vim and that sort of thing, basically I'm going to take every place where it says system.out.line, and change that to print line. Okay.
Okay.
Here as well. So I'll just have to change that back to system dot out dot print line. So we haven't changed any functionality. We've just basically changed what that function calls so that it calls this instead. Right?
Okay.
And this is a problem because it provides an object. So it doesn't work. We're going to have to change this to an object. Line text dot to string.
Okay.
All right. So now if I go back and I run my tests, it should generate the same stuff. Okay, good. So we got all the same kind of output. All right, so now what we want to do is we want to, I think, do we have, oh, yeah, we don't have, we go here, we don't have approval tests in here. So if I go here to my libraries, oh, that's right, we use Maven here. So I need to go to my POM file. So I don't have approval tests in here. So what I will do, I will go to come on. There we go. I have too
Only a
many.
few
Can you tell?
only a few tabs open.
Yeah.
Try to test Bing. Let's see if you handle these tabs right.
Right. Okay. So I go to approval tests. I go
Yes,
to
there is yes.
Maven include, copy that, and I come back here and I'll put it into my dependencies. There we go. And I will refresh. The cool thing about the approval test website is that it keeps this this Maven updated to the latest version. So that's pretty nice.
Frustrating when the docs keeps the version outdated, so you place it and there is a very old version. It's
Right,
frustrating.
right. And that can be very frustrating.
Yes.
Okay, so we've got the approval test now in the library. I don't need this. Okay, so what I will do is I will I'm going to add a function here. I'm going to what we've done here is in from what Michael Feather's book says, we've created a seam in the program. So basically, we've got a place in here in the application where we can now kind of insert some test code that won't break anything, but it will allow us to see what's going on. So if I look in the approval tests library, it has a function called simple logger, right? Simple logger, and it's part of the approval test stuff, and it's in a, we call it a package called Spun, which is his tools that he uses for his consulting. So I want to make sure I'm doing this right. The simple logger dot message and text is string. All right, so now this will, when we run this, this will go and and log everything, you'll see that it should print everything out twice for us. Right? And it also adds this cool time and date stamp. So what I want to be able to do is capture that in my test and stick it into my approval test output. So the way this simple logger works is it sort of sticks it into, it's sort of a single static instance of a logger. So what I will do is here, I will create a string buffer. Oh, sorry here. No, I want to, okay, fine. String buffer log. And I'll say simple logger because it's a single static logger. And I'll say log to string. Okay, so it's going to take whatever simple buffer, a simple logger logs, and it will add it to this string buffer. Okay, then we run it, and afterwards, what we're going to do is say approvals.verify log. Okay, so we'll go ahead and run this test. Now we haven't changed any of the functionality. We've just taken the output and logged it to a place where we can see it. Okay, so there we go. Here's our output, which is pretty cool. So I'll go ahead and save that as our approved, and we'll run the test again. And okay, look at that. So basically we've got, it has some random number generator stuff that we can't control. So if we look at our game runner, we'll see that right here is we've got this random thing. And it's in the middle of the code, and that's most inconvenient. I'd like to be able to control what random number gets put in there. Well, the way we do that is we need to basically create a seam here around this random number generator. So what I will do is I'm going to take all this code here inside my main, and I will create a new function. ESP. And I'm going to call this main2. And I will put it, oh, doggone it. How about I do this here? Take this, copy it, I'm going to stick it up here. All right. And in this main2, instead of passing in args, I'm going to pass in random and so it's not used before here. So I'll just pass it in instead of calling it. All right, so I haven't really changed the functionality. I've just passed that in. And now what I'll do here is I'll just call main2. I'll pass in new random. Right? Oh, I'm sorry. Let's stick that in. And get rid of all this. And basically, I haven't changed any of the functionality, right? If I call main, it still does what it did before, right? We added the the logger, so it goes and duplicates it, but I mean, it still does what it did before. We haven't really changed anything, right? So if I go back to my test, and now instead of calling main, I'll call main2. And instead of passing in a null, I'll say new random 0. Got to import random. All right.
Okay, so now you can control the input the random gives
So
to the
now I'm controlling, I'm controlling what gets passed in. I'm
perfect.
going to avoid the regular main. I'm going to control the random value that's passed in, and I'll seed it with a 0. And seed it with anything. 0, it's just as good a number as any. So now, if I run this test, bazinga. So we'll go ahead and we'll sure there's a better way to do this, but this is the way I'm going to do it. Copy everything over.
No, the list of the problems. But
No,
what happened with the
here, I'll just do it this way.
yes. Control and copy paste. It's better. But I understand that now you have the random 0. Probably
Right,
the other test had the random any number that was different. But now you have control about the output and the random number that is chosen.
right. So just to prove that, we'll go ahead and run it one more time. Boom,
Perfect.
test pass. One
Awesome.
more time just to make sure. There we go. So now I haven't made any changes to the code, and I've whatever. I've put tests in there to make sure it does what it says it does. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to go ahead and run the test with coverage. Okay, so that tests game runner, and I've got 100% coverage of game runner. I've only got 98% of the tests run for the method and the line. So if I go to my game and look at what's tested, see that I've got almost all the code tested.
Yes, yes. There's a single line that is ready here.
This line here is playable, and it says no usages.
Yes, in fact, because it isn't called anywhere. Oh,
So it's
awesome.
never called anywhere. So you'll notice that it took me maybe, I don't know, 5 minutes or so to add in the tests using approval tests, just logging what's going on in there. And I have locked down this entire code base for this simple little function. And I can now go and start refactoring it, confident that I have locked down the code base. First thing I can do, is get rid of this stupid line that's not called.
Yes, yes, yes. Even that you can discover now.
Right.
Oh,
So yeah. If I go and run this again, I'll have 100% code coverage. 100%. Boom.
perfect. And now you have the confidence that the output is mapped. So anytime you make a change, the output must continue the same. So you
Right.
didn't.
So if I change something, whatever, I get rid of this line accidentally, and I go and I run the test.
Yes.
And the test will fail. Need to run this test.
Yes, yes, yes. You have to. Oh,
well,
no.
the program failed.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes, yeah, it's even worse. The program failed.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so, all right. So I'll just change this to a 5.
Oh, that's interesting to break the code sometimes to to understand where things are going. It's a
Right.
way of sorting.
Oh,
Agora agora you now you have a index out of bounds there because you have too many players.
I don't know how to break programs, do I?
Breaking a controlled way is hard.
There we go. So I'll make that change. Gee whiz, help me out here. There we go.
Okay, there you
Now
go.
it starts showing I have something wrong. And we have completely different output now.
Yes, yes, yes. You have much more turns of the game.
Yep.
No, that's awesome. I worked in a legacy code, even with Kyle, that is in the mentory of Bruno. Kyle was he used to be an intern when I entered that, and he teach me something about tests because it was my first task. And the legacy project was a multi-model Maven project. So you have a lots of services in IntelliJ, but most of it was really legacy with no tests at all, and was a module that was made a few months or years ago that Kyle worked in that had lots of tests. But the problem is you're not always working only with a single model. You go to this module that have tests, then you call a module that's external. And when we did any change to these modules that didn't have a test, we were really afraid to do the
Right.
deploy because we didn't know what was happening because it was only try and error. Okay, putting test environment and try to make a lot of calls, try to call a service that was not related to see if it's broken. No, this was awful.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. It's maddening.
Yes, and they're afraid of breaking something that no one uses, but someday, somewhere, someone will use and it's broken.
Yes. Yes. Oh, absolutely. And the code that I work on is just that way. Um, and it's it's over 600,000 lines of code. It was much more than that. I've been chipping away at it, but I this using the approval test has just saved my bacon in so many ways when I'm trying to make changes to the code.
It's like in refurbishing a structure. You place a lot of holders to see what is like to keep the measures, the output, and then you start changing, trying to not affect the output. That's perfect.
Right, right. Um, One cool thing is there are all kinds of, if you, here, I'll go back. If you go and you look at this, there's this approval tests and approval test util. So there are, if you look in the approval tests project, there's all kinds of ways to approve, to do things. JSON approval. So it will go and if you have a JSON file, it will go and make sure that that JSON file works the way you expect it to. It will also work for, oh, that's in the utils here, I think. All right. Oh, here's different approvers. There is a way to have it. Maybe they moved it in here. Way to have it look at images. So like if you, my project is a Spring desktop application. And so what it will do is it'll generate a picture of the window. So I can, if I've got like a chart and I can make sure that that chart renders the same way every time. And
Oh,
that's what I
awesome.
use for my application. And then you see here's this com spun. thing. There's got your swing utils. So this is how it goes in and uses that. He's got dozens of utilities in here for comparing dates and database stuff and country. Basically it's a list of countries. Number utils, just all kinds of cool stuff. And we're going through and documenting bit by bit how all this stuff works. So see here. So if we go to the docs, it shows you how to get started. And where's all the other stuff that we did? I mean, I've done this, I've written this. Is it here? Try the colons, video tutorials, Google tests. Oh, come on. And the docs. Getting started overview. Here we go. There we go. So it shows you how to get started with all this, but it also talks about the different kinds of things that you can use. Arrays, here's a swing. If you want to use swing or AWT, how to do the image, it shows you how to use that. So basically you just say AWT approvals. There you go.
Oh, great.
JSON. So if you got JSON output, you do JSON approvals. Or if you're going to use arrays, verify all. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can use it. It's really handy. And then all kinds of the diff tools that we use. Tortoise, win merge, or axis merge, code compare. Win merge has added the ability to do the image compare, and I think beyond compare does image compare as well. So those are handy for Windows. Do you use Windows or Mac or Linux?
No, now I'm using Mac because of the work. I used to be a Windows programmer.
Okay.
What I
So,
miss
yeah,
most is the
diff merge, I think, is probably the most popular one on the Mac. But anyhow, it's
no, they have these IDEs that are very complete, sometimes even bloated, but I have lots of tools in the IDE, so most of the times I'm into IntelliJ.
right. Yeah. Okay. Well, and I don't know if you notice, it also supports your IntelliJ reporter. So
Or
your IntelliJ diff. So
oh, very complete.
yeah, it's he's been working on this for over a decade. So I've been helping him for about 3 years on it. And
Wow, great.
yeah, it's a really nice tool, and I like playing with it. And as far as the let's see, where does he have the simple logger stuff? Is that in the reporters? I forget where he put that.
That's lots of code.
Nope, it's not there. Okay, I know we've got it documented someplace. Because he's got a simple logger reporter. So yeah, I will. But you saw how to use it and how it works, and some of the useful ways to do things. I need to come up with a couple more examples of how to do the
No, that was great, and the example of the whole process, that was something that I asked in the keynote, the presentation that you did for us, like for refactoring, and that strategy of taking a picture, like creating a scene as you described it, of the output. So you start working knowing what you expected to receive. That is was almost what I expected to do when refactoring, like take a picture of what's going out now, but I didn't have a tools, or at least I didn't use any tools to keep this control. So I used to have like JSONs. Most of the times were REST APIs. So we would take the JSON output and manually or using like some diff tools like Notepad++ that was really common in Windows and
Right.
compare the files to see, well, what changed. But this whole process of creating the scene and creating a method so you can control what's coming in, coming out, and the tests, that was really interesting.
Yeah. 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 I've talked to other developers that will, excuse me,
Oh,
that
no.
basically they'll have it spit out a text file, and then
Yes,
after it runs, then they'll go and personally diff the text file with what they expected.
exactly.
But
I used
I
to
mean,
do
this
this
just
with
does it all for you. So
yes, yes, it's in the application because we had to come out with JSON or try to put in a file and run some. I remember that Spring had any tool that could receive a file and use it as the comparison,
right,
but creating this structure so you can guarantee that the output from the beginning you didn't change anything, but you have the output controlled. So then you start refactoring.
right.
That's a nice.
Also, if you think about it, if you're doing like a web application and you want to make sure that the output doesn't change in that, you can just spit out the HTML
Exactly, exactly.
and
Yes,
take
yes.
that and
Doesn't matter the content. You just compare street
right.
by street. Hash by hash.
Yep. Very convenient stuff. So basically that's what I wanted to show you for today. Just a way to make it easier to test the legacy code that you're almost certainly working with in your day-to-day work, and show you
Yes,
a
yes.
tool that can help make that work easier.
I'll have to refactor some not so legacy, but the strategy remains the same. I try to
Yes,
control the output. That's perfect.
absolutely.
Great, Scott.
Okay.
Great.
Well, uh, we don't have any more discussion left. I'll go ahead and leave it at that. And
That's perfect.
good to see you again. And you have a great week.
Thanks, Scott. Me too. Awesome. Have a nice weekend.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Bye bye.
Bye.